Chapter 11 First Date. I had become used to the feelings of despondency and despair filling my mind, but the excitement of seeing Jane pushed them to one side. I was happy and everyone at work noticed the difference in me. I started talking to Princess, telling him what had happened. He was pleased to see me so happy and bouncy, but told me to be careful so I was not the person I used to be, and could be taken advantage of or used. I didn't think Jane would do that, but it was nice that he cared about me. The week flew by, and before I knew it, it was Saturday. Princess wished me luck, and I ran out to the bus stop, eager to get home and get everything for the evening out for Jane. As I sat on the bus, listening to music and idly watching traffic, I thought about the times I could remember with Jane. I thought about splashing around in the docks, showing off, while Jane and her friends watched us. I ran in through the front door and straight up the stairs. I yelled to Mum as I bolted upstairs, "Gotta get ready, I'll be down soon." I wanted to get showered and look good for Jane. As I came back down, freshly showered and looking good, Mum asked me to come into the living room. I walked in and was worried because Mum looked worried. She looked at me with concern in her eyes and said, "I don't want you getting hurt. Be careful tonight. No drinking. Don't make it late." I understood her concern, as this was the first social outing I was going on since the accident without Alan, and it was with someone who I hadn't seen in over a decade. I think that Mum had her own way. She would have driven me to Blackheath, waited outside the restaurant, and driven me again. Jane had said that she would pick me up at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock came and went. My nerves were still fragile, and I started to worry. Had Jane been in an accident, or had she decided not to come? I kept calming myself down, as I did want to get stressed out if Jane did turn up. A car horn sounded at just past 7:30. I got up and walked to the door, Mum following behind me asking if I had my wallet and my phone. My phone was still upstairs, so I rushed out to get it. Mum went out to the car to meet Jane and get a first impression of her. I don't know what was said, but I think Mum wanted to make sure that I'd be safe that evening. I stepped into the garden, took a long deep breath. As I walked up to the car, Mum loudly, and mainly for Jane's benefit, repeated all she said earlier about me not drinking alcohol, not staying out too late, and then I saw her. Jane was obviously older, but to my eyes she was even more beautiful. Her eyes were still the same startling green. Her long chestnut brown curls brushed her shoulders. I got into a car and there was a few awkward first few moments, and then we started talking small talk. But we both wanted to talk about the past, but didn't want to bombard and overwhelm each other. Jane started the car, and she reversed out the driveway. I could see Mum's shadowly and distorted by the frosted glass in the front door, watching as we drove away. The small talk and reintroductions had finished, and there was a strange silence that lasted a few minutes. Jane took the initiative and started talking about the past. I was struggling to take it in, everything Jane was saying. I just listened out for questions and was able to answer some of them. And remembering Jane and her friend Natalie watching me and Gary play football, even today I don't fully remember all the conversation we had. But I think Jane might have sensed my difficulty in keeping up with her, as she suddenly asked me what I wanted to do in Blackheath. I said I just wanted to walk around a bit. In Blackheath, Jane pulled into the car park. We then walked into the village to look for somewhere to eat and talk. We found a small Italian restaurant and had the fist of what the meals together would be like. We sat and talked, only being quiet when the waiter asked with our food. Jane quickly sensed that asking about my accident and exactly what I remembered made me uneasy. So she started talking about holidays she'd been on, as well as the trip she was planning to Iron with her cousin. We compared notes and were surprised to see that we've been a lot of places at very similar times, just not at the exact same time. The conversation flowed, and before I knew it, I was telling Jane about the trip to Spain I'd planned. This led into the conversation on the accident itself and the extent of my injuries. Jane told me that I seemed fine. I don't know why, but this was comforting. You know those quizzes or interview questions where you're asked to describe yourself as an animal? Well, I'd usually describe myself as a tortoise or a turtle with a hard shell to protect and house me. It takes me a while to get used to people and open up to them. But talking with Jane was different. Before I knew it, we'd been talking for 2 hours. A lot of conversations had evolved around me. I wanted to know about Jane's life, so suddenly I asked her if she had a boyfriend. There was a moment of silence, and I apologised for asking the question and my abruptness. Jane paused for a moment before explaining that she was in a relationship, but it wasn't working out, and she didn't know what to do. I had a brain injury and may have not been the best person in the planet to give advice, relationship advice to, but I gave it anyway. I said that Jane should do what she feels would be best for her, or before she knows it, years would have gone by and she'd wonder where life and the time had gone. I wasn't trying to get Jane to split up with this man, but genuinely just wanted her to be happy. We shared the bill. I'd wanted to pay for it all, but Jane insisted on sharing, and we left the restaurant heading back to the car. Jane had said that she would drive me home, and we started the journey back. I still liked Jane, and I had thought about her and what she might be doing for years, to be blunt. I still fancied her and did not know how she felt about me. Did I have a chance with her? What about her boyfriend? How did she feel about me? Was I too much of a basket case? With all these thoughts swirling around my head, my brain reacted in the only way it knew to. I started to have a panic attack. Great. Jane was talking to me and I was sitting there doing my best not to cry with emotional frustration. I couldn't even talk to her. I was too engrossed in not freaking out. Not that Jane knew this. All she could see was me in the passenger seat in a seemingly sullen silence. She gave up trying to hold a conversation with me and lapsed into an uncomfortable silence. We pulled up to my parents' house. I literally leapt out the car. A quick bye, I muttered, and I was gone, heading for the house and the security and safety of my bedroom. Poor Jane was left wondering what the blaze had happened and if anything she'd said had caused me to behave like that. Mum and Dad heard me rushing straight up and was worried about me. I hadn't popped my head into the living room to say hello or anything. I just run upstairs. Dad was the first one to reach my room and came straight over. He saw me sitting on the bed crying and sobbing. He started asking questions about what happened. But the hill came out so quick, thick and fast, I couldn't keep up. I just cuddled up to him and sobbed some more. By this time, Mum had came in and I was able to say that I'd had an amazing evening, but I was having one of my low moments and would be downstairs shortly. Dad sensed that Mum was about to start playing 20 questions, so he took her downstairs and let me calm myself down. I sat on the bed and slowly collected my thoughts and calmed myself. It was a few minutes till I felt mentally strong enough to go downstairs and talk to Mum and Dad. We chatted about the evening, with what me and Jane had spoken about and how I felt about her. There was even laughter about me still fancying Jane. Dad sensibly advised that I should call Jane to let her know that I was okay and that she hadn't upsetted me. I wanted to call straight away but didn't want to be a pest, so we sat there watching telly for an hour or so before I picked up the phone. I explained that I hadn't wanted to be so rude and I was trying to control a panic attack. You couldn't get out of the car fast enough. I was worried I'd said something wrong, Jane giggled, before adding, I thought everything went well. Then you ran away with barely a goodbye. We chatted some more and agreed to meet up a few days later. I hoped that Jane wanted to spend more time with me, and as for me, it could trigger more memories of my past and I could be with Jane again. She made me feel, well, normal.